being made like these. Okay, so depending on what you're making, you have to choose your fiber, and this is something which I'll be doing more in the main session. Okay, for now we'll just start with off with some variety of knots, the basic knots that we do. Okay, for this I'm using a dowel. Okay, I'm using a dowel. Now this is a wooden stick that is specially for macrame projects that I use. You can use a pencil if you don't have this, so you can use any pencil that you have. For now, even this will work. Okay, anything. What we need is a base to start our knots on. So you can use this. Sorry, I'm using a dowel because I have it handy, and I'm using the 4-ply cord. Again, you can use whatever cords you have right now. So don't be worried that you don't have the same cord. Later on, you can always try this with the proper macrame cord. For now, I have these cut into 1 meter lengths. Okay. So if you have the cord, can you all start and cut 2 cords of 1 meter, please? And how many of you are actually doing it with me? Can you just put on your screens and give me a thumbs up, because I can see only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people on screen. Okay, great. I can see 2 people who are going, 3 actually do, 3, 4 also, 4 people doing it with me. Great. Anybody else who's doing it with me, and they can just switch on their screens so that I can keep a check and help you out. Okay, 2 cords. We'll start with 2 cords. Okay, I'll just give you a few, just a couple of minutes to just cut the cords. So once you all have the cords ready, can you just put them, like show them to me on the screen like this, so that I can see that you have them ready? Great. Okay, so I'll start. So now I have this here. You can take any size. The length is 1 meter. We're just starting with the basic size for now. Now this is just for practice. When you're doing actual projects like we do in our masterclass, then we'll be discussing the lengths depending on the projects that we are doing. For now, for practice, we are taking a meter long cord. Okay, so I have folded it in half. So this is the first part of my first stitch that I'm going to do. Now, the first stitch, if you want to write it down, you can write it somewhere. We are going to do the lark's head knot. Okay, L-A-R. I'll type it in the... Uma, you really don't need. When I first started, I was using... Don't laugh, okay? I was using the nada that we get. Okay, that we get for salwars and all. I was using that. Whatever is handy. If you have a rope handy, try with that. Even plastic ropes are great for macrame. When I was a kid, my aunts and all used to make baskets with macrame in plastic. So that also is a good option. So now I'm typing the name of the knot that we are going to do. Okay, so now this is the knot that we are doing. The first thing is we are folding it in half. So when you fold it in half, it comes to about half a meter on both sides. Then now there are 2 ways to do this knot. Some people call it the lark's head knot and the reverse lark's head knot. But for me, you put it like this. Take your knot, folded knot, get it under your dowel or your pencil, and just in between that, you pull it back. So what you do is you get this ridge in the front. Now, generally, this is known as the lark's head knot. And when it is the other way, when you have the bridge on the other side, this is known as the reverse lark's head knot. Okay, so I find this way better because you get this design in the front. So I have this ready. This is one part of my knot that I'm doing. Then taking the other cord, I'm following with the same thing over the dowel underneath it, and then just pulling these 2 paths through this. Okay. So after doing this, I have two knots on the dowel and 4 strings flowing through that. Okay. Now these 4 strings will give us our basic first knot. So when you start this, what I like to do is I like to stabilize my dowel with a tape. You can do this on a table. You can do this wherever, like if you have a plant hanger or a chair, you can do it over that. Now, generally what I use is a stand I have. Let me just show it to you. If you can see that wall hanging I have, I work on that stand. Okay, so I find that very comfortable, especially for bigger size projects. But when I'm doing smaller projects, like I'm doing a wall hanging right now, like this, then like this, then I do it on the table. So depending on where I'm working, but for now you can just put a tape over this and stick it. Now starting the knot, it is very simple. When we started, these 2 cords on the end. Now for everything, I'll be calling them cords. I will not be calling them thread or yarn. Okay, just to not confuse anybody. So these cords on the ends will be the one that we are working with throughout for this stitch. Okay, the center 2 threads will be the same. Okay, we started out with equal lengths for all 4 cords. But when you come to the end, you will see that these 2 threads will reduce and this will comparatively remain the same because we are not working with it. These are going to be twisted and turned. The first step that we follow is you make keep this on the side. With this, you make a 4. So you have a 4 made. This is coming over the 2 central cords. Okay. Then you take this, make a reverse 4. This time, this cord will go under the 2 cords. Okay. So when you have this is over here, but underneath this part. And here it is underneath this. And then to bind it off, what you're going to do is you're going to put this inside this and take it out. Okay. So when you finally do this, you have a thread that you're knotting. These 2 threads you're tying up, but in between you have these 2 knots, 2 cords. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to just pull them together, put your finger here and just try to, you have to stabilize your central cords because you don't want them too loose. Otherwise the knot will be loose and it won't stay in shape. Then you stabilize it with your thumb and pull it. Okay, I'm not pulling it too tightly because again, if you do it too tight, the shape of your macrame will start to bend and twist. Give a medium tension, not too loose, not too tight. This is the first part of the knot. Okay, now the knot that we're doing, I should have told this earlier, the knot that we're doing is a square knot. It's a very commonly used knot. It's the most commonly used knot after lark's head. Okay, so again, you're doing the same thing, but now you're starting with the right side cord. This cord you're putting in the reverse 4 shape. Now it is coming over. Earlier it went under the 2 cords. Now it is coming over the 2 cords. Earlier this cord went over. Now it is going to go underneath. Okay, so when you do this, this cord comes in at the bottom of this cord. Okay, and this cord will go inside this, and again you get the same thing but in the reverse order. I will explain this knot again. Initially it is a little difficult to understand, but once you see the knot you will be able to see. Okay, so what we have done here, if I can get a close up, so this particular knot is the square knot. Can you see the square shape? Okay, so this is the square knot. Now to do it again, I will take, I'm doing this because I am demonstrating it from the first. So if you're making a coaster, maybe take about 8 of these knots, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 square knots or 5 square knots, and then you can work it. So I'm using the same thing. I'm just getting it under the, let me just remove this. I'm putting this under the dowel and these two through that. Okay, this is the first lark's head knot that we are doing. Again, I'm taking another cord of the same length. These are macrame cords. Okay, now the size and the ply will differ depending on your project. That's a little more detail than we can deal with in 1 hour class. Okay, but just for your knowledge, these are macrame cords. 4 ply right now I'm using, and stranded cords. Okay, so now again I have 4 cords running through. I'm putting the outer cords on the side, center cords in position. For the first part of the square knot, these are not branded. Okay, I just get them from suppliers who sell macrame supplies. So there are no brands as such for these cords. Okay, so these two are the central cords. We are starting with the first cord on the left. This is going over the top, over, and making a 4. Remember this, over. The second one is going under. Okay, so the left is over, the right is under. Remember, like that. And then you pull it together. When you come to the top, again, you have to be really careful of your tension there. So this is the first half of the square knot done. For the second half, the right is over and the left will be under. Okay, so that is how you can remember. Again, I will show you the square knot once more. So, and this is going through that. Okay, so here you have your square knot done. Okay, I will demonstrate this square knot once more, just to show what the finished product will look like. If you can see these parts done here, these are all made up of 2 square knots. 2 square knots here, then here, then here, then here. The whole design is made up of square knots. Just by crisscrossing these, we have got the net-like effect. Okay, to show you another example, I have these square knots here, but here we have 1 each. So can you see that just by alternating the cords, we are getting a pattern. Again, here we have the square knots, 4 square knots making one design. Then another few here. So just by doing these square knots, you can make different designs. Now you have these square knots in one line. So these are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 square knots done in one line. Okay, so with just a few knots, you can make a variety of projects. Like the wall hanging I just showed to you, I have used the double hitch knot, the the square knot, and a few tassels, and my wall hanging is done. Okay, so it's very easy. So to make our coaster, this is one thing that we are doing. Now, let me just do it once more for those who are not very sure of the whole thing. Has anybody done with me? If they want to show me their work, I can just have a look. If you can get your work on screen, Chandni, I can see you. So I'll come to your screen first. Yes, you have got it. Yes. The second knot looks, the second half of the second knot looks a bit wonky. Can you just open it up and then do it again? Gayatri, coming to you. Okay, Gayatri, just see once more when I do it. I feel some mistake is there. You two steps are there. The first one is when you do the crossing of these uh, chords. Then the second again another crossing. So what that does is it gives you a knot which has two parts. Okay, let me just start with another knot. So when the best way is to remember, the first part of it is left over, right under. Then the second part will be the other way, right over, left under. Okay, just to explain that. So with this one step, you all can make a simple coaster. I'll show it to you. Okay, again, I have 4 chords ready. I have the lark's head knot done. I have the 4 chords. Again, I'm taking these 2 on the side. The first one, when you form the 4, the first chord on the left will go over the middle chords. When I say over under, it's always the middle 2 chords that are important. Okay, so the left one is going over, the right one is going under. Once you have this, to make the knot, this part needs to go into this. Okay, otherwise your knot will not form. So this is the first part. Okay, left over, right under. Then the next part. This time it will be the right over. Then taking the left, it will be under. Again, to complete that knot, you have to go into this. Okay, so it's 2 knots of a different the chord which is coming first changes. Okay, so first time it is the left chord which is coming first, second time it is the right chord. Okay, again we have the square knot done. Okay, now to form that, see here I'm using a 1 meter cord which is folded in half. So here I have about half a meter cords. Okay, each cord is 1 meter. So when I start, what I will be doing is I will be working square knots between these knots. Between these knots, I'll be working square knots. So we have 3 square knots here. In the second row, we'll have 2 square knots. So I'm just removing these 2 on this side and these 2 on this side and taking 2 from this part and 2 from this part to make my 4. Again, the other one, 2 from this and 2 from this. Okay, keeping them to the side, I'm starting working this square knot here. So same thing, left over, the right under. Okay, to complete the knot, this will go into this part. Okay, so this is how we form the crisscross design that I just showed you. On the bottle planter, I have, now that's a jam or a olive bottle that was empty and I've used it as a planter. You can do that. You can make planters out of tomato sauce bottles, anything you have. Again, the second step, this is from the, this will be from the over the central chords. The second, the left one on the left will be under the central chord. Okay, so this we are forming again into a square knot. When you see this, it works up very beautifully. Now I'm using a thick cord because I want this to be shown easily on screen, this size cord. Now, depending on your project, you can change your yarn thickness. Okay, so if you're working on smaller projects which need more finer look, go with a smaller ratio. with the bigger ones like wall hangings or macrame mirrors, you can go with this. Now this is the second square knot in the second row. Again, the same process, central 2 cords and 2 cords on the sides. The first one on the left over, the first part of it on the left, on the right goes under. Okay, so this goes under. It's a little difficult to remember initially, but once you get into it, this forms the basis of a lot of designs. Okay. Then the second part, the right one is over, the left one goes under. Okay. Just this one square knot can make you, like you can make literally many feet of design this way and it will look beautiful. It is actually one of my favorite knots. I love the net-like look that it gives. Okay, can you see that design forming now? Okay, this design, if I show it to you, yeah, I've just shown it to you. This is the same thing that I've done. Okay, just by doing the knots, then middle knots, then again the main knots, you're going crisscross. Now with this, you can shape up also. You can make it into any shape you want. Okay, and these are the double hitch knots, and these are the half square knots that you're getting a spiral. So I'll show you these also. Okay, so again, I'll demonstrate the square knots once more in one line, and then I'll show you the double hitch and this spiral knots. Again, here I'm going the way we did the first row. Okay, so we are doing 1, 2, and 3 square knots in this row. So I'll just keep this aside for now and take this as my main working knot. 2 on the sides, the left one over, the right one under. Okay, when you say under, this will go into the loop always. Okay, the cord which is coming under will always go under the loop, into the loop. Just maintain your tension. You don't want it too tight. You don't want it too loose. Then second part of the work, the right cord over, left cord will go under and into the loop. Always under cord will always go into the loop. Tighten with your thumb. Just maintain the tension and tighten it up. Okay. So if you keep it too loose, your central threads will be a little lax. So just give them a little tug just to see that it's done properly. And this also, just a little tightening. That's it. Not too tight, just slightly. Again, the same step. I'll go a little faster now. I hope you guys don't have any issues with the speed. Anybody? Any doubts till now? Okay, great. So again, left over, right under and into the loop. See, if I keep it too loose, this will buckle up the central cords. So just maintain the tension on the central cords. That is very important, and tighten. And just a little tug to get it in position if there is any laxity there. Then the second part, the right is over and the left goes under and out through the loop. So just continue this for whatever length you want, and you can just trim off the edge. Okay. Then the same thing with the last set of thread cords we have. Over and under and into. Okay, I promised you a coaster towards the end of this class. So with this same technique, following the same square knots, this is over and this goes under. You can just continue it till what size you want, and then just trim off the edges and brush it out with a comb. That will unfurl your cords and give you the fringe that looks really good. Okay, so if you can see the design forming. Okay, now the next row will have 2 in between, and then the next one will have 3. Follow this. Now you can do this for as many cords you want. You can add up to say around 10 sets of cords. It'll be perfectly fine. Instead of a small coaster, you will get a big one. Okay, if you go still more bigger, you can make a wall hanging. You can make a lot of things with it. For example, now this is a simple one where we have used the square knots. Nothing but square knots all over. So can you see it? When you see this, it looks really very beautiful. So I have plants and planters like these. When you don't have the fringe on the bottom and you just put it in maybe a different shaped jar and put it on the table with a candlelight, that also looks good. So this is really good if you're wishing to start a business from home. There are a lot of things that you can use from your home and make these. Okay. Then coming to the other 2 knots that I'm going to do. This is one knot where you have the, just a minute. Okay, so here if you see, I have just used 2 knots in the entire mirror. I have used the square knots and the double hitch knots, just that, all through. Okay, so with just 2 knots, you can make an entire article. You don't really need big know-how. The only thing is you should know which knot to use, what is the length to use, what is the proper cord, what is the proper thickness, what is the proper strand or ply that you're using. These are things that you need to know. Okay, just with these cords, I mean, these are just a few. There are hundreds and hundreds of knots in macrame, but these are suitable for beginners. Now, the same square knot, when you do it halfway, you get a spiral knot. So if you see this knot, now this is something that I'm having in work. It's not completed, but if you see this is just made of square knots, done like only half of it done. Okay, I'll show you. We are not doing the 2-step square knot. We are doing only half of it. So we're doing only one part. So to show that, I will just take one strand right now. I will not take the entire thing. So when you do this, you're using only the first step of the square knot. Take your knot over, the left one is over, the right one goes under and through the loop. Okay, this is the first half of the square knot. Okay, now we skip the right over part, we skip it. Then we go back to the same step. Left over, right under. Okay, we do this again and again. We just do the first part again and again. Same thing, left over, right under. So as you do this, the knot now starts to turn. Okay, so don't try to force it to be in the same level. It will twist. That's the beauty of this. So the same step I'm going to follow as long as I have the cord working. So if you can see now, I've started to get the twist on my knot. Can you see that? It's not straight. Now this twist has come here. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. Now you just have to, kind of work according to the direction it is going. It's just only for 1 or 2 knots. Then it'll come back in shape. Okay. Now my whole thing is turned. Can you see? The whole thing has turned. Another one, I'm doing the same thing. I'm following the same way. Okay. The same left one I'm doing over, the right one under and through the loop. Then this was the left chord. It has now become the right one. Okay, and this was the right chord. It has become the left one, but I will still follow the whole procedure. The left over and the right under. Again, the same thing. Okay, now measuring our size. Now I had measured this only for demo, but depending on what size you're doing, you have to measure out your curves and work according to that. But now if you can see, you're getting this. Now this is good for things that you're hanging where you need that spiral look. So this is again the same chord that you've done, but done only halfway, and it's giving a totally different effect. Can you see the twirl that is coming, that spiral that is being formed? Okay, if you continue to do this, you'll get the whole length looking like a spiral that I've just shown it to you on the other hanging. Okay, this is one part. Anybody, any doubts till what we've done? You can unmute yourself and ask me. Okay, Shweta, just coming to you. Perfect, perfect. The only thing I can suggest here is in between your lines, you have a lot of gap. Okay, so I'll come to my work. So in between these rows, you are having a lot of gap. So you can just, try to, when you're doing starting the next knot, pull them a little bit more so that it is adjacent. And as I said, just give them a little tug on the sides and on this central chord, the gap will reduce. Okay. You can unmute, just there's this, you have an unmute button. You can unmute that and ask me. Coming to Gayatri. Yes, Gayatri. It's coming nicely. Again, the same thing I'll suggest. In between the knots, you are giving a little more gap. Okay. So when you're doing 2 knots, just try to control that tension. Okay. So if you see mine, I don't have any gap as such.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I don't have any gap in between the knots.
Okay.
So when you're doing that, just give them maintain that tension. Now this is something that will come with a little experience. So if you practice, you will be able to get it. Anybody else?
Now my doubt is that
yes,
when it is turning and twisting, the left chord will come to the right side, right?
Yes.
So we'll do the same
just keep following
procedures.
Yes.
Okay.
We are doing the same thing, left, because it is literally turning the other way. So when the right one goes to the left and the left goes to right, and you just keep doing that.
Okay.
So when you're doing longer lengths, it just keeps twisting.
Okay.
Can you see mine, Supriya?
Supriya, give me a minute. I'll just come to you. Yes, just 1 minute. Great. Now the thing is, when you're having it on your dowel or pencil or whatever area you're suspending it from, don't keep that much gap in between the knots. Okay. Don't have them too close. Don't have them too far apart. Okay. So if you can see in between your 2 top knots, there's a lot of gap.
Yeah.
Okay. If you see mine, there is very little gap.
Yeah.
Is this very comfortably, there is a gap, slight gap, but when you're working the knots, you get that distance. But with this, if it is too close, you can't see the stitches.
Yeah.
If it is too far apart, like this, you get too much of a gap. So keep them loosely fitted.
Yeah. Is this okay?
Yeah, one minute.